passed. Well, I've got a member of one of those committees with me, Democratic Congressman from Illinois, Krishnamoorthi, joins me now. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. Tell our viewers what happens now. You have been one of those committees that have been deposing people. The Republicans have said in secret, but in fact there have been, you can confirm for me, Republicans in those depositions.
Yes, I'm a member of both the Intelligence and the Oversight Committees.
That's right.
And more than 40 Republicans have been able to participate in those proceedings. They've had equal time to question the witnesses, and they can question on virtually any topic they want, and they've been able to make opening statements as well. So to say that the process is somehow unfair is grossly unfounded. I think it's really an attempt to deflect from the substance of the allegations at issue, namely, was military or other assistance to the Ukraine premised on an investigation of Donald Trump's political rivals? And on that note, there's a lot of evidence piling up in support of those allegations.
Are you satisfied that the rules that were approved, you actually tweeted out a video to your constituents in which you said, quote, this was not a video on articles of impeachment, and it wasn't a vote to remove the president. It was a vote to make sure the process used is as transparent as possible, is fair, and allows for due process for the president. Given that what you tweeted out was exactly what Republicans have been saying is not happening, are you satisfied that the rules approved by the House yesterday do allow for transparency and due process?
Yes, that's why I voted for it. That's why it passed. I think that at this point, unfortunately, some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are just not going to support any process, despite however fair it is, in an attempt to shield their president from some very serious allegations. And I think that right now, we as Democrats are really, as members of Congress, have to make sure that the process is fair, that it's conducted in a solemn manner, and that it goes forward expeditiously as the American people wish.
Let's talk about the president. Republicans have said that there is nowhere in the process for the president or his lawyers to be represented. Experts on impeachment have told us that that would typically come once the House has voted for impeachment, after it's gone through your committees, through the Judiciary Committee, and then to the Senate, where, in fact, the president's people would be represented. Are you concerned about this?
No, I'm not. In fact, in the Judiciary Committee, if you look at the resolution, there are provisions that allow for the president and his counsel to be able to cross-examine witnesses and to even move for subpoenas, provided that the committee votes for it. And so I think that actually some more provisions here are afforded for due process than you might otherwise expect. All that said, I think that it's very important at this point to focus on the substance of the allegations, because they are very serious, and unfortunately my friends on the other side just don't want to talk about them and address them.
But will the new process that has been approved, that is now going into effect, will that deal with all of that? Because a lot of the concern is everybody in the House had to vote on this. Well, that is now done. The hearings need to be held in the open. That will now be done. So at some point, do you think everybody will have to shift into a discussion about what Donald Trump did, as opposed to Steve Scalise calling it Soviet-style hearings?
Right. I think that's exactly right. I think that very soon, the Republicans wanted this to be open and transparent. Well, they're getting it. And, basically, at this point, you're going to be able to see, hopefully in the very near future, some of the witnesses that we got to see, some very compelling witnesses, people like Bill Taylor may be called. He's somebody that is extremely compelling from the standpoint of someone who's served 50 years in the public service of his country. People like that are folks that, even when I talk to Republicans in confidence, they admit that these people are very credible.
Let me ask you this. If this thing goes as it's meant to be, whereby there may be a vote in the House, the full House, or the Judiciary Committee by Christmas time, will it be easy to understand? You are a lawyer. You understand things more than the average person does. But there was some concern that, with respect to the Mueller report, the fact that Bill Barr got out there and said there was no collusion, that landed with a lot of Americans before anybody had a chance to know otherwise. How do you avoid that happening?
Well, I think here, interestingly, the call transcript was released very early on. The whistleblower complaint was released. There were text messages, and even Mick Mulvaney admitted or made an admission the other day in a press conference that aid was premised on domestic political investigations by the Ukrainians. And so this type of information, I think, got out and perhaps led the American people to really question what exactly happened on that July 25th phone call. And that's why you see a growing majority of Americans wanting to have this inquiry proceed expeditiously. And in fact, a growing number of Americans wanting to see the president held accountable for his conduct.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Congressman Krishnamoorthi is a member of the Oversight and the Intelligence Committees investigating the president's conduct.